Studio. I'm Pastor Pope, and we are here Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Monday through Friday, to discuss whatever topics you might like to discuss, whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. You can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships, whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind. God is concerned about that which concerns you. So we are here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock. The water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is Earth's finest water. I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers who continue giving on the Give segment of our app, and those of you who have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on our app at New Life Delaware or on the contribution page of our website at newlifeministriesinternational.com. We thank you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here to address whatever topics you might like to discuss, whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. So I want to begin by saying there's a few things. First of all, we have a little technical difficulty today, but I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers, we are now on RadioFreeNetwork.com. If you go to RadioFreeNetwork.com, you will find, if you click on radio, the drop-down page will show New Life. Click on New Life and you can view our broadcast every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and the Sunday sermon at 10:45 a.m. we go live at New Life Christian Center. But I want to say to everyone, we have expanded the broadcast also, so in the coming week you will find that for an additional 30 minutes we're going to inspire you with some inspirational gospel music right here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So we will be on RadioFreeNetwork.com. We will go off the air here, but we will maintain on RadioFreeNetwork.com for an additional 30 minutes. You will hear inspirational gospel music at RadioFreeNetwork.com. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that political differences have strained your relationship with your brother. He called you an idiot for complying with the restrictions and for following the science, and you two have been at odds for some period of time now because of the political environment. So let me address this by saying this. I've told our listeners and viewers previously, every one of us politically, every one of us is entitled to one vote. You get to vote your way. Your brother gets to vote his way. Your brother is entitled to his opinion about the restrictions. He's entitled to his opinion about the science. You are entitled to your opinion about the restrictions and about the science. So each of you have your own vote. What you don't need is conflict in your family about who you're voting for or what you believe in. You can, if you're rational adults, you can share your opinions and you can agree to disagree. But in the end, we all get one vote and then we live with the results of whatever the vote might be. And we live with whoever's going to be in the office for a 4-year term, or if they're reelected for an 8-year term. That's all we can do. So we have to recognize that we can agree to disagree. Now, as far as the restrictions and the science is concerned, I'm going to follow the word of God on this. And I'm going to say this. The Bible tells us to obey the laws of the land. So whatever the laws are, that's what we obey. Now, science is science. The Bible has never negated science. Science is a reality. We have to look at the science, and we have to form our opinion based on the information that is available to us. I encourage everyone, do your own research. I encourage everyone to follow the guidelines that have been set by the authorities, because that's what the Bible says. So we adhere to those restrictions because it's the law. Whether you agree with it or not is immaterial. It's not part of the equation. When the law said that we should wear masks and socially distance, we have to follow the law. Now, I have to tell you, I'm a hugger. I'm someone who, first of all, the physical contact, the intimacy of embracing our loved ones is important to me. In addition to that, I recognize that for me, it gives me the opportunity to lay hands on people and pray for them when we embrace. God, we come before you in the spirit of unity, and so therefore I'm touching and agreeing. That's my responsibility as a pastor. But I'm also a contact person. I love embracing my loved ones. I love hugging and kissing my loved ones. But for the entire time of socially distancing and mask wearing, that was not something that we were instructed to do by the authorities. So we followed the law. In our church, we followed the protocol that was established by the federal government and by our local state government. We adhered to the policies that they provided as protocol. That doesn't make you an idiot. That doesn't make us an idiot. That means we're following the law. Now, with regard to the science and the vaccinations, there have been people for generations who have not taken flu shots. But this was a public health crisis. And so we researched, we followed the research that was being done on the vaccines that were being distributed. And for a certain population of us who are in contact with, whether you're first responders or whether you have contracts with public school systems where you are in contact with students or faculty or whatever the case may be, there was a requirement for being vaccinated. We have to follow the guidelines of science, and we have to do our part for humanity. So we do those things. Your brother doesn't have to agree with you. But you also have to recognize that you cannot have conflict with him over what he believes. That's just his belief. His belief may not be based on fact, it may just be based on his opinion, but it's still his opinion. And sometimes our opinion becomes our perspective, and our perspective becomes our reality. So he's decided that he's not going to follow the restrictions unless it is absolutely necessary. In other words, if he's boarding a flight and the airlines won't let him get on a flight without a mask, he's going to put on a mask. But he refused to wear a mask publicly, and he refuses to be vaccinated. That's who he has decided that he wants to be. And so therefore, he's going to be exactly who he decides to be. Now, the result of that and the outcome of that are going to be something that's determined much later. But you don't need to be in conflict. You have to agree to disagree. I know you didn't like it that he called you an idiot. I'm sure you didn't like that because you're an intelligent, competent human being. You didn't like that. That escalated the conflict between the two of you. But now you are missing your brother. You're missing having the opportunity to communicate with him the way you always did. And so therefore, I'm going to recommend to you, because he's not going to do it. He has, and I pray for his soul, but your brother has no relationship with the Lord. You do. So it's going to be your responsibility as a Christian to call and leave him a message. Whether or not he responds is entirely up to him. But you've made the effort. You've made the effort. And if he responds, you don't want to have that conversation with your brother again, because he's not being rational. If he's willing to not talk with his sister and communicate with his sibling and it's just the two of you, because you have a disagreement about the political environment, you have a disagreement about the restrictions, you have a difference of opinion about protocol, you have a difference of opinion about the science, then you don't need to have those conversations with him. You reach out to him, tell him you love him, you just wanted to check in on him, make sure he's well, and move on. And if he doesn't respond, it's June now. If he doesn't respond and you don't hear from him over the next few months, when it's Thanksgiving, reach out to him at Thanksgiving. If you see him over the Thanksgiving holiday, you can, wish him a happy Thanksgiving. If he doesn't respond when Christmas comes, wish him a Merry Christmas. If he doesn't respond after that, then he doesn't need to hear from you again until it's his birthday. And if he doesn't respond after that, then you've got to let him go through his own cycle of life and hope that at some point in time he will grow in this life and he'll be willing to reach back out and have a relationship with his sister. Family issues are real. Family issues are sometimes relevant. And sometimes they're irrelevant. Sometimes you can't participate in family issues. Can't be part of your life. Find your peace. Search for your peace. Find your peace. Keep your peace. Don't allow your peace to be disrupted. But reach out to him. And I will tell you, because you've both been a little obstinate about this, if you reach out to him, he's going to respond at some point. It may not be exactly when you want him to, but he's going to respond at some point. Because you're going to reach out and tell him that you love him and that you're just checking in on your brother. You just want to know that all is well. And hopefully someday it will get well with his soul. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We're going to place you over into our queue so that you can become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest and fastest 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are always included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G provider at no extra charge. So we are here live in the Fiji Water sponsored studio and broadcasting live on RadioFreeNetwork.com. If you go to RadioFreeNetwork.com, click on radio, the drop-down box will appear, and click on New Life. You will see us live right here in the Fiji sponsored studio in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your parents both passed away during COVID, and it is extremely difficult for you to get over their passing due to the fact that you could not spend more time with them during their illness due to the pandemic. So, listen, none of this has been a normal time for any of us. You weren't able to spend time with them during their illness, a lot of time with them during their illness due to the pandemic and due to the restrictions of the hospitals, and all of that is a reality of life. There's nothing that you can do about that. You are grieving the departure of both of your parents. What I want to say to you is you have to recognize that your parents are now looking down from heaven, watching over your life. They are your guardian angels. They are watching over you, watching over your life, hoping that you will become the best version of yourself that you can possibly become, that you will accomplish everything that you desire in your heart. Your parents are looking down at you right now, even in your grief, praying for you. Your parents know that you would have been with them every step of the way during their illness. And what I want to say to you and to all of our listeners and viewers who may have gone through similar situations, or you may have known someone that's gone through similar situations, so you can give them a word of encouragement. This has not been a normal time of life for any of us. People have been affected by the pandemic in some form. It may not be, listen, it may not be in a negative form. It may have been in a positive, had a positive impact. It may have allowed us to reset our lives. It may have allowed us to recalibrate and make certain that we are ready to move to the next phase of life. There is a reason that God allowed this to occur, so that we could all be better, that we could all seek his face, that we could all pray and turn from our ways, make a change. I talked about that yesterday in the Sunday sermon. For us to recalibrate our lives, to reset every facet of our lives, what needed to be reset. The things we were doing, and we were doing the right way, we need to keep doing those things. And that's why I said to everyone, we don't want to just survive a pandemic, we want to thrive through the pandemic. But we have to recognize that this was not normal for any of us. Not being able to be with loved ones who were going through illness is not normal for many of us. Not being able to see our loved ones on a consistent basis is not normal for any of us. We have to recognize that this was a very different time for everyone. No one has seen this in 100 years. And even those who are old enough to have survived the pandemic, the previous pandemic, I will say. Even those who are old enough to have survived it don't remember it. They weren't old enough to remember it. And watch this. Even if, and I don't want to negate what God has done in the lives of some people who have lived beyond 108 years. Even if you were 10 years old when this occurred, you might remember your parents going through some emotional changes, but you don't really know a lot about it, because it's not like, what we saw on television when we saw, President Kennedy being assassinated or Martin Luther King's assassination. Traumatic moments in our lives that were played over and over on national television, in the national media. Those are moments that we remember because we saw them on television, we saw them repeated on television over and over again. But the pandemic was something that occurred 100 years ago. It occurred, and we really didn't have the same type of media that we have today. We didn't have all of the things before our eyes showing us over and over again what occurred. So no one remembers this. No one has had to function through this previously. It is a new experience for all of us. It is not our norm. Now, we have a new norm, but this is not our norm. So we have to adjust ourselves. We had to really understand that some things we just did not have control over. And here's the news flash. God didn't assign us to be in control over them for that period of time. For the period of time that we've gone through this pandemic, we have not been assigned to control a lot of things. But now God has placed some control back into our hands and says, okay, I want you to live in me. I want you to move in me to the next level. And I want you to have your being. I want you to have the fullness of God in your life. But only if you have realized the spiritual significance of this pandemic. Only if you've realized that this was a time to reset our lives. Only if you realize that this was a time to get closer to God and to really develop our relationship with Him so that we could become the best version of ourselves that we could possibly become. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by Warrior Custom Golf. Times have changed. There's no need to spend big money for great golf clubs. If you're a golfer or you have a loved one who's a golfer, there's no need to spend big money on golf clubs any longer. Warrior Custom Golf believes that you should have the ultimate experience with quality golf clubs, the ultimate experience of learning the game of golf, enjoying the game of golf, and playing the game of golf on a regular basis. Warrior Custom Golf will create the ultimate experience of golf by designing custom quality golf clubs for you that don't break the bank. WarriorCustomGolf.com. You can order from WarriorCustomGolf.com. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers, but before I do that, I want to make certain that everyone knows that we are now live on RadioFreeNetwork.com. If you go to RadioFreeNetwork.com, click on radio, the drop-down box will appear, and you will see a link for New Life. And we are broadcasting live from this Fiji Water sponsored studio, right here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are really looking forward to what the summer has to offer. However, your significant other is not yet comfortable getting back to normal life. You want to know what you should do about that. So let me say this. You know, all of the questions so far that have been pulled for today seem to be related in some form to coming out of this pandemic experience. Now, I'm going to first of all, I'm going to respond by letting you into my world for a moment. So I shared with everyone, I'm back in the gym on a continuous basis now. Our Achievers Academy is concluded for the year now because the students are in the process of preparing for finals, and other students, the seniors have graduated this year. Graduation was this past weekend, so all of that's good. So I'm back in the gym, and I will share with you that right now the gym is optional. You're not required to wear a mask, but you can wear a mask if you desire to do so. And so many of us who are going to the gym, even though I'm vaccinated, but I'm still wearing a mask in the gym, because just because you've been vaccinated, let me say this, just because you've been vaccinated does not imply that you could not contract COVID. It just reduces the possibility of you contracting COVID, and it virtually eliminates the possibility that you can die from it. I'm not saying, it just virtually eliminates that possibility. Okay, but having said that, everyone's not vaccinated, so you still have the possibility of contracting it. Now you might say, well, why do I get vaccinated? You get vaccinated also to protect yourself and for the purpose of humanity, to protect others. others who may have other underlying health conditions. So I wear a mask in the gym, other people are wearing masks in the gym, other people are not wearing masks in the gym, and some of those people may be vaccinated also. I don't know, and I understand, but the reality is that I'm back in the gym now, working out. I was working out at home through the whole pandemic, but I'm, we have barbells, we have dumbbells, we have a total gym. I was working out at home, but now I'm increasing. So the good thing that came out of this is, once upon a time, I was working out 4 days a week, every other day. And now, because of the pandemic, I'm working out at least 6 days a week. So I'm in the gym 3 days a week. I'm running and working out at home 3 days a week. So it's going to improve my health. So I don't want to do anything that's going to disrupt my health or the health of others. So that's why I'm wearing a mask in the gym. I said all of this to say to you, you can encourage your significant other to wear a mask. If you're going to travel by plane, they're going to require you to wear a mask. But even when he gets where he's going, he's been vaccinated. You didn't tell me that in your communication, but God allowed me to see in that secret place of your life. He has been vaccinated, but he has not reached a level of comfort yet. He's got to get to that place on his own. If there's some place you want to go and enjoy the summer and he's not ready to go, just explain to him. He's a rational man. I don't know him personally. You're not in my area, but God allowed me to see that secret place of his life. He's a rational man. He's going to tell you, if you want to go, go. And he knows you're vaccinated. But the issue becomes, do you need to quarantine when you come back? Well, you won't have to quarantine for 14 days. You'll know when you get back, probably in the first 5 days, how you're feeling. And as long as you take the necessary precautions, he's going to be comfortable seeing you when you return. He's just not comfortable traveling himself. Now, that doesn't make him someone who's living in fear. That just says he's just not comfortable being back on a plane yet. And that's okay. Now, I'm at the place where I'm comfortable being on a plane with a mask. I'm comfortable with that. But he's not there. And so you have to allow him to get to the level of comfort that you are at. And hopefully, over the next couple of months, he'll get there and you'll still be able to enjoy what the summer has to offer. And you can enjoy what the summer has to offer, the two of you, if you take day trips on the weekend by car. He'll be fine going with you in a car someplace. Go by car. If you want to go by plane, you can go by plane, and he'll support you in that endeavor emotionally. He's just not there yet, and you have to be okay with that for right now. There's 3 months left of the summer, and hopefully, well, you're in an area where it stays pretty much warm year-round. So you still have 6 months of the year. You just don't have the whole summer to really do the things that you would like to do if he doesn't participate. But you still have the fall also. So allow him to get to his level of comfort. He'll get there, and you'll be able to enjoy the time that you have. Listen, if you don't have a problem, don't create one. It's really not that deep. He'll get there. Just allow him to get there at his own pace. I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers, I want to remind everyone, we are now on RadioFreeNetwork.com. You will see posted on our website also, the keyword for today is BeccaTheDietitian.com. Hopefully you remain for the entire broadcast and you listen for the keyword or the key phrase is BeccaTheDietitian.com. If you email me or text me, you can be entered to be selected for nutritional consultation with BeccaTheDietitian.com. Rebecca Buva, licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist. And we will be selecting one person to become her client for the remainder of this year on June 30th, right here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you today by Fiji Water,